G'day everyone, welcome back to my weekly tipping video. As always, this preview is brought to you by PlayUp. If you are thinking of having a punt on the NRL this round, make sure it's through PlayUp, guys. But as always, please gamble responsibly.
G'day guys, Clarkey here. I don't want to waste anyone's time, so let's jump straight into my tips this round. First of all, we'll talk a little bit about Origin. I thought that was the best game this series. I thought it was really competitive matchup, which the first two games really weren't. And so it was just nice to have something that felt like Origin football again. I was really happy with that game, and I think it adds a lot to, I would say, next year, because although the Maroons were massively thumped in games 1 and 2, they can sort of leverage off that game 3 win, and it creates a bit of a narrative and a bit of belief headed into 2022 that at least if they did have Kalen Ponga and Harry Grant, Lindsay Collins, etc. for a full series, maybe they will be able to compete with the Blues a lot closer at least than what we saw in games 1 and 2. So very happy with Origin 3, and it really makes me excited for 2022. But with that being said, guys, let's move to Friday night. We have the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Parramatta Eels at Cbus Super Stadium. I'm going to go ahead and tip the Titans here. We are hearing that all their Origin stars are set to back up. I'm a massive Titans fan myself, so I'm definitely tipping with my heart there as opposed to my head. I would hope Mitchell Moses is rested for the Eels. I'm not sure if he is going to be. I know Junior Paulo will be rested for the Eels, so that's obviously a big help there for the Titans. Titans were really impressive against the Raiders, and then they did have the bye week, so I hope they really build off that and are able to find some momentum heading into the back half of this season, similar to how they ended the year last year where they won 5 straight. After that, guys, at Cbus, we've got a double header, and that's due to all the lockdowns and everything crazy going on in Australia right now. So we've got the Manly Sea Eagles taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Now, as it currently stands, from what we know, Daly Cherry Evans is likely to back up from Origin. So is Ben Hunt. But Tom Trbojevic won't be there for the Sea Eagles. So I am tempted to tip the Dragons here, but they also have a fair few outs. Not as many as you would think, but a fair few, and that's just due to what happened with the COVID party. My personal thoughts, I think it's disgusting the players only got 1 week. Players from the New Zealand Warriors were caught on a flight where someone had COVID. By no fault of their own, they missed 2 weeks. So I think for the Dragons to only miss 1 week, for them to be able to sign Jermaine Tanoa-Brown on a deal just for July to cover the suspension period, I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think the NRL should have intervened. I think the club deserves to be punished more on the field for what occurred. And so with that being said, I will be definitely going for the Manly Sea Eagles here. I do not want to see the Dragons win a game throughout this period just for how dirty they've handled this situation and how the players got away with only a 1 week ban. I think that is so unfair to people that have been, having to self-isolate, like Will Chambers. Will Chambers goes down to Melbourne to a hospital for the birth of his child and comes straight back, and he has to miss 2 weeks. Absolute joke if you ask me. So I will be tipping the Manly Sea Eagles here, guys, and I will most certainly be cheering the Manly Sea Eagles here. I hope they destroy the Dragons. Saturday, 3 p.m, the North Queensland Cowboys are at home. They come up against the Sydney Roosters. I am going to go with the Roosters here in this one. At this stage, none of their Origin stars have been ruled out. Valentine Holmes is unlikely to play at fullback there for the Cowboys. And I'm just looking who they have named. I would say what is most likely either Dejan Arce would move to fullback, or you would see Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow go to fullback. So they do have a few options there, but I do think they will miss Holmes a little bit more than they would like. Overall, I'm going to go ahead and tip the Roosters. They're obviously in a little bit of a weird patch at the moment. They got absolutely belted by the Melbourne Storm, and then they followed that up with a small win to the Bulldogs. And I know that in rugby league, they say you learn a lot from your losses, but I do think they'll learn a lot from that win, because I think Trent Robinson will be very hard on them, and I think he rightly should be. They should have beaten the Bulldogs by a much greater margin. So I'll go ahead and tip the Sydney Roosters there by 10 points. After that on the Saturday, we've got the Canberra Raiders taking on the Cronulla Sharks at Cbus Super Stadium. And oh my God, I wish I still lived on the Gold Coast right now. This would be so fun going to all these games. It's almost like a mini Magic round. It would be awesome. The Raiders take on the Cronulla Sharks. I don't know who to tip here, guys. Both teams are relatively, I wouldn't say out of form, but they just haven't been themselves lately. They both have significant outs as well. The Sharks are obviously without their captain, Wade Graham, at the moment, as are the Raiders without Jared Croker. take that back. Jared Croker returns this week, which means I might tip the Raiders here. I'll tip the Raiders to get the job done. They were relatively impressive last week when defeating Manly, although Manly did have some significant outs. So I will hope they take something from that. I'll go ahead and tip the Raiders for an upset, but I wouldn't be too surprised to see the Sharks there, guys. Sharks win there, sorry guys. What have we got next? At 7:35 CBA Super Stadium, the Melbourne Storm take on the Newcastle Knights. I'm with the Melbourne Storm there, guys. I don't need to explain this tip too much to you guys. You all know how incredible the Melbourne Storm are going right now. So I think the Knights will definitely try to put up a fight, but I just think the Storm have way too much class at the moment. Sunday at 2 p.m, the New Zealand Warriors are at Suncorp Stadium, and they're taking on the Penrith Panthers. I'm going to go ahead and tip the Panthers there. I'll just double check, but it would appear they are still without Nathan Cleary and without Jerome Luai. But I think they have adjusted a little bit more without having those two. And last week they did have the bye round, which gives Matt Burton and Tyrone May another round to sort of build up their combination there in the halves. So I will go ahead and tip the Panthers there. I would like to see the Warriors win because I would like to see them make a late push towards the finals. But realistically, I just have to think that the Penrith Panthers will be too classy there. So I'm going to tip them by 13+. After that, guys, the Brisbane Broncos take on the West Tigers. Broncos here are heavy favourites. Well, not heavy favourites, but they are favourites. And that's a really tough one. The Broncos have not done anything this year to suggest they should be favourites. But with that being said, I mean, we go back to last round. They had the bye, and then before that, they did beat the Cronulla Sharks, but I thought the Sharks were really off. So I'm going to go ahead and tip the Tigers there. I know the Tigers have been out of form this year, but Adam Dowie does move back into 5/8, and I do think when they played their best football, he was in the halves. So I think that could be the catalyst that sort of gets them back onto track. So I'll tip the Tigers there in a tight one. Tigers by 2 points. To close out the round, guys, we're at Cbus Super Stadium where the South Sydney Rabbitohs are taking on the Canterbury Bulldogs. I'm with the Bunnies there, guys. Again, I don't need to explain this tip too much. The Bulldogs are struggling this year, and the Bunnies, outside of 2 losses to the Storm and the Panthers, they've been absolutely excellent. But that wraps up my round 18 NRL tips and preview, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you all next week with my round 19 NRL tips and preview. Thank you.